Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
This is Charlotte-Cannion. I'm the author of You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. And today we're going to hear from author Michael Willingham. And he's written a book called Charlie's Spacesuit. Spacesuit. Michael, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your family?
Well, I have two wonderful daughters and a wonderful wife. My children are grown. One lives in Washington, one lives here. And my wife, she's a registered nurse, and she works for a dialysis company, and I work for a local telecommunications company.
Ah. Have you written more than one book, or is this your first book?
This is my first book, but I have authored other works. In the Navy, I used to be a commercial illustrator, and in the Navy, I authored some comic strips. I was on a very large ship, so it had a large readership of about 6,000 people.
Very good.
And then throughout the years, I've done several pieces. But it wasn't until I published my first book that I really launched into the waves, so to speak.
Had you always wanted to write sci-fi?
Yes, I have. I love sci-fi. I love reading. I read all kinds of genres of science fiction plus classics, and it was several years ago when I got the idea to write Charlie. It was one of those epiphany moments.
Was there something that triggered it originally? Did you see something? Did you have a dream? How did Charlie come to you?
Well, interesting enough, when I was a young man, my brother-in-law. He was in high school, and he liked art, and I was teaching him how to illustrate, and I was giving him some a subject matter to illustrate, and all I did was I came up with book cover titles. I just came up with them, and I came up with the name Charlie's Spacesuit, and he never did the project, but later on one day the name just stuck with me. It just wouldn't go away. And then one day I was sitting in my kitchen, and all of a sudden I just saw the whole premise for the book, and I started writing it down on little blue Post-it notes, laughing all the way because it just sounded so ridiculous yet so fun. And before I know it, I had it written down, but it wasn't until several years later that I actually started writing it.
And did you write it traditionally? I mean, did you do an outline and everything, or did you just write stories that you thought of them? What is your writing style?
Well, for this book, I sat down and I didn't have the Post-it notes anymore because I had moved, but I had the Post-it notes in my head, the whole premise of the book. And one day I just opened up. I had gotten a computer. I didn't have a computer when I came up with the idea of Charlie. And I sat down.
Post-it notes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I just took a deep breath, put my fingers on the keyboard, and I started writing. And about 2 to 3 chapters into it, it grew legs.
Was there anyone else in your family that was a writer before you?
No, actually, no. I'm the first.
You're the first. What do you think your daughters or your children will take after?
Yes, I have my oldest daughter, a very gifted, talented writer. She got her degree in creative writing, and she has an incredible prose. She's much better than I do, I think. And she's very young, and she will eventually do the same thing that I do and write her novel that she has in her head. She has a really great idea for one. We've discussed it at length.
Have you thought about writing one together?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I've posed that to her, and she liked the idea, and we've been batting it back and forth what we want to write, but we want to do a piece together.
Well, that'd be good. You said you were an illustrator. Did you illustrate your own cover of your own book and put any illustrations inside of it that you did yourself?
Yes, I did. I did the cover. I did it in pencil, and I submitted it to my publisher, and they really loved it, and they used it. And,
that's cool. So you have a traditional publisher. You're not an indie author.
Well, that's where that's an interesting state of affairs, because the publisher that I used was actually a self-publishing firm advertising as a traditional publisher. I have since part ways with them. Approximately a year ago, they got into some trouble with the embezzlement and so on and so forth, and they went under. So I had parted ways before that happened, and I'm glad. So now I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so now you're kind of doing your own thing?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I'm thinking about, what to do with because I'm working on two novels now.
Oh. Well, let's get back to the Charlie spacesuit here for a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me, you
Sure.
said he found a map in his parents' attic. Can you give us a little more, hook to tell our listeners a little bit so they'll want to go out and get your book?
Yes. Well, Charlie, he lives in a fictional Texas town, and his family has a very long history, and he has an ancestor who. Very, very quirky, but he actually discovered a spaceship out there in the wilderness. But it scared him so much because it was back in the 1800s, and he didn't understand it, that he ran off, and but he had struck gold and eventually founded that town. And Charlie was one day going up in the attic of their ancestral home, and found a loose board, opened it up, and found an oilskin and a map with a big area of the wilderness marked out in red. And Charlie, being a camper and hiker, that was irresistible. So he set himself out to go in that unexplored area, and that's when he found the spaceship and a dead alien.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Were things in your life that you've done or people you've known, did you turn them into characters in the movie or use any of that as part? So, because some of us do.
Well, I think my biggest influence in writing in Charlie is not really so much one character, but how Charlie reacts. I've you ever watch a movie where you inadvertently give a suggestion, like tell that person don't go in there, or I wouldn't do that, I would have done this,
Mm-hmm. The subliminal.
And then exactly. And I kind of fashion Charlie as this kind of person. He's unconventional in the aspect that in his book, he's not going to react in a typical way that a lot of writers and movies do it just for the sake of creating, the action and adventure. I think action and adventure is the fact is that Charlie is making choices. He's making decisions, and how this is affecting his life for the rest of his life.
Now, does he's just wandering through the woods and finds this spaceship? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not really dreaming or anything. He fell in a rabbit hole, kind of like Alice in Wonderland type thing.
Yes.
Just wandering through the.
Right. Well, see, that's just it. Is the area that he was exploring was mostly desert, and he finds this huge gully, and he comes down to that, follows the gully until he runs into they call a bowl, end of a dried riverbed, and it was surrounded by ancient trees that should not exist in the forest. No forest should be existing out there. Like what's keeping them alive? And when he went into that area, and it was deep, and came towards the center of it, and that's where he found his ship. And outside of that ship, apparently been sitting there a long, long time, was this dead alien in a spacesuit sitting in front of a old campfire, like he was camping. So already we have a bunch of mysteries going on here.
Yeah. So he has adventures. Yes.
Eventually, he ropes his adopted brother into helping him try to figure out the mystery. Through a series of events, he was able to get inside the ship, him and his brother Harold. But thinking that the ship was derelict, something is in that ship, and the ship takes off with them in it.
Ooh. So this is really sci-fi. Is this something that just adults would read, or what is the age range that
Young adult to adult, but I've actually had friends who have bought the book, and they had used it as a summer reading project for their 8 and 9-year-olds. And they came back to me and they said to me, "Mike, I can't believe you wrote a book that would appeal to adults, and 8 and 9-year-old would love it."
Well, that's super. Well, if you'll hold on a minute, we'll be back with Michael Willingham and his book about Charlie's spacesuit. Stay with us.
Howdy, I'm John Cruder, the Midnight Marauder. I guess you might say that I'm a vigilante who rights the wrongs I see along my many travels to balance the scales of justice, especially those of the corrupt and murderous members of the Town Council of Bandera, Texas. You can follow my many adventures in a series of Midnight Marauder books written by Roy Clinton on Amazon.com and TopWesterns.com. Or, if you prefer, listen to my adventures in audiobook form by downloading them from Audible.com or iTunes. This is R. William James, the voice of the Midnight Marauder.
Do you love to read great new ebooks? Visit EBG247.com. Be the first to discover the next bestseller. At EBG247, we have the web's largest selection of great new book reads, from that amazing new fiction or nonfiction to horror, romance, and fantasy. We even have today's best children's books. That's EBG247.com. New books arrive daily, and all ebooks start at just 99 cents. If you love to read, then you'll love EBG247.com. Low prices, large selection, and an easy-to-use website. It's all only at EBG247.com.
Headlines. Cryptocurrency vultures are circling around failing governments. Darknet predators are rushing to market with their newest digital product. They promise economic salvation, even as they coupon clips straight from your digital wallet. The newest techno-thriller installment from Breakfield and Berkey, The Enigma Source. Book 10 of the Enigma series continues the combat of cyber good guys versus cyber thugs set in today's digital landscape. Texas Authors is proud to be a supporter of IndieBeacon.com, a website that supports indie authors from around the world. If you are looking for help with marketing or getting published, IndieBeacon.com can assist you. Years of experience by the founder is available to any indie author looking for help. IndieBeacon.com, a place for creative souls to find help in marketing their creations.
Bourgeois Media and Consulting, a book publishing consultant where creative inspiration is realized. More at bourgeoismedia.com.
Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
This is Charlotte-Cannion on Dear Texas Radio, and we're talking with Michael Willingham, who has a book called Charlie's Spacesuit, and it sounds like an adventure that we all would like to go on. He said that it's good for the young teens all the way through adults. Michael, you there?
I am here.
Well, tell us a little bit more. You said you're writing 2 more books. What are they about? And I'm sure they're in the sci-fi, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm writing the sequel to Charlie's Spacesuit, titled Charlie's Spacesuit, The Dogs of War.
The what of war?
And then the Dogs of War.
Dogs of War, okay.
Yes. And I'm writing this other book, and that's a sci-fi dramedy, and it's called Transylvania Investment Properties.
Okay. You have a very vivid imagination, I can tell. Can you tell us a bit about the Dogs of War?
Yes. Well, this is a continuation. Charlie is, without giving too much away, but Charlie, he's now in space, and he is faced with some choices. Once he discovers who's the entity that has shanghaied him into space, presents him with a challenge and also with a choice. And it's through these series of choices and adventures that really define Charlie as what kind of person he is. I mean, he always thought of himself as a adventurer by proxy, reading, going on camping, but he never really aspired anything further than that. But he finds that once he got into space, that a whole new universe, literally, has been opened up to him, knowing that there's creatures and intelligent beings out there had really changed his worldview, so much so that now he's not making unwise choices, but he's making choices that are constantly changing his life.
Changing who he is, yeah.
Who he is, yes.
Do you kind of think that you're putting are you putting some of your adventure, like, I would like to be Charlie?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, I just kind of I'm going, I think this is an adventuresome man, and he's probably writing I wish I could do this, and so I'm going to write about it and share it with others. And that's neat. I think it makes it real and, brings it to life, even though, sci-fi is sci-fi. It's
right.
not the real thing. Now, the other one, can you give us a little flavor of what it's about?
Yes. So the full title is Transylvania Investment Properties, LLC, Frank Stein, CEO. And this is a new take on the old monster story that it says, what if one time the famous creatures of fiction actually existed? And what if something occurred that not only raised their existence from Earth, but from the consciousness of man, rendering the stuff of legend and fiction? But what if they weren't erased, but still live in another place other than this reality? And what would happen if someone accidentally discovers that truth? This is that story.
Ah. Now, when do you expect that one to be out?
Well, I want to release it. Well, I plan on want to release it with my sequel. My sequel is almost done. I have maybe about another month left of tweaking before I go shopping for how I'm going to publish it. But I'm going to catch up pretty quick with Transylvania Investment Properties, because this one is writing itself as well.
Oh, because you've got the story in your head and you're getting it out on paper. I have to ask you something. It hit me. Were you a Boy Scout as a child? Did you sit around the fireplace and share any of your stories? And maybe not the stories with Charlie's, spacesuit or any, but did you tell stories around the fire pit when you were camping as a child?
Not actually around the fire pit, but I come from a large family of 10 children, and I was the ninth of 10. And we used to get a lot of, especially in the summertime, but a lot of blackouts. And we would just light a candle, and I would tell stories that I had in my head.
So it comes very naturally to tell a story. Oh, that is neat. Have you presented your story? You know, sometimes you can go to an author's thing and they allow you to read a bit of your story. Have you gotten into any of those genres?
Oh no, not yet. I would love to. I would love to.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place. You know, to get that done. Now, you've got these two, and you want to release them probably early next year. What do you have after that? I know you're going to have some more.
Yes, I actually have a file with a whole bunch of stories, that I'm planning on writing. I have another one that's I'll probably start that a little later in the new year, and that one is called Heroes and Villains, Inc.
The hero. I know we're having trouble with the hearing. What was the name of it again?
Heroes and Villains Incorporated.
Heroes and Villains Incorporated. See, I can see these made into Disney movies. You're just going right down the road. What is your little synopsis of the Heroes book?
This real quick. This is synopsis is the world is so hungry for entertainment, right? And then we have the increase of content, superhero movies, villains, and then we have big comic conventions where cosplay is so prevalent now. But I imagine this world where corporations have really latched onto this, and so they've actually created an industry where you have villains, where they act out, almost like WWE World Wrestling, where it's all fake, but it's all live and it's all in the streets. And this is the story of how it
how it
evolved.
plays out. Did you ever see the Michael Douglas movie, The Game?
Yes.
Where it was,
yes, I have.
That's kind of what you're saying. It's all not real, but real.
Right. Until it gets a little bit more real.
Until it gets too real.
Gets too real, yes.
Yeah. Well, that sounds really interesting. Is there any interesting place you're going to be going with your book, Charlie Spacesuit, anytime soon, where someone could see you?
Well, I just did a book signing out
where was
in
that?
Farmersville.
In Farmersville, okay.
Yes.
So where do you live?
I live in McKinney.
You live in McKinney, and you have blackouts over there?
No, not as much as I did.
Okay, so where were you raised?
I was raised in Long Island.
In Long Island, okay. I was going to wait a minute. That's back when you were raised. You said you had the blackouts, and you would tell the stories, and you probably did. If you were the ninth of, boy, you had to get the attention, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was an attention hound.
Because I can't even imagine. I was like an only child for 10 years. I can't even imagine. With were they boys, girls? How was your family?
4 boys and 5 girls.
4 boys and 5 girls. So that had to have. I bet you that some of your brothers and sisters become little characters in some of your books. Maybe just parts of their personalities.
Mhm.
Yes, right? Wrong?
Right.
Okay.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. You said you had some other books in your folder. What do you think is on the horizon? Are you going to continue to do sequels to Charlie Spacesuit?
Well, Charlie, in my head, I could see me doing about 4 to 5 books of Charlie. And also, what's in another thing that's in my plan is I'm going to take my first book, Charlotte's Spacesuit, and I'm going to write a screenplay from it.
Oh, that would be cool. That could get you into a lot. Are you going? I mean, and that's something that could start out as high school plays and go into other things. Are you planning on sending to Hollywood? What?
Well, I was thinking of crowdfunding a project to make maybe an hour to 2 hour long movie of it.
Oh, cool. Are you a producer too?
No, but I know how to produce a movie, and what I was going to do is, it's one of the things where you can get others involved and find someone who would like to get involved that has the equipment, so I don't have to buy the equipment. That saves money.
Right.
Have you thought to go into? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to. No, you can go ahead and finish. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I was just going to ask, have you thought of going to a campus, a college campus where they do a lot of that? See if they,
yes. Actually, that's my first choice is to employ that. Really interesting story was last year I actually got involved with being an extra in a movie.
Ooh, which one's that? We'll look for you.
It's called Monochrome. The studio that did it, I played an extra. I played one of the angry mob. But Monochrome is called Monochrome the movie. They've got it in the can. They're doing the post-production on it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I thought it was more work than I thought it would be.
Was it shot on out in Irving, or where did they shoot it on location?
It was shot actually downtown Dallas on the east side.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. That's something you and I have in common. I worked on the Dallas series for 9 years, and I've worked on sets with Tender Mercies with Robert Duvall and Sly Stone and some others. So we both have that background. Mostly I was an extra. Sometimes I was, did a little bit parts. So
wonderful.
So we have that in common. And yes, that you sit around and wait to shoot 5 minutes, and then you sit around and wait while they move cameras and lights. Is that right?
Yes, and then there's, I think it was in the afternoon we really started hitting our stride. About a good hour we did take after retake until they felt that it was right. And when you're trying to be an angry mob for an hour, all I know is when I got home, I was beat.
Hello, Michael?
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, they've asked me to start wrapping up. So this is Charlotte-Cannion. We've been talking with Michael Willingham, and he is the author of Charlie's Spacesuit. Michael, can you tell us real quick where they can find your book?
Right now, it's available at Amazon.com. Like I said, when I'm going to do a re-release of book, it'll go back to stores. But right now, it's in a interim.
Can they get it through the Texas Authors?
I believe so.
Texas Authors.
And if not, I'll fix that up.
You better fix that one, yes, for sure.
I'll fix that real quick. I have an inventory.
And you have an inventory, and they can contact you. Well, this is Charlotte-Cannion, and we're going to close with A Rose is a Book. You can't know its beauty until you look at it. And a book is a rose. You won't know its beauty until you open it. This is Charlotte-Cannion, and you have a nice day.
A new online bookstore, IndieLector.store, is unlike any other. IndieLector.store offers great prices from top indie authors and supports authors at the same time by paying them more for their books. IndieLector.store has a readers club that gives you free books and special deals. Watch the IndieLector.store continue to grow before it opens in the fall of 2019 at IndieLector.store. Hello, Texas authors. My name is Randy James, coming to you from my Carrollton recording studio, where I spend time writing and producing commercials for my radio endorsement clients, as well as my private freelance clients. I'd like the opportunity to help you sell more books with a commercial like this and get listeners of Dear Texas Radio excited about your title, all at a special introductory price. Available to members of the Texas Association of Authors. Call or text 214-762-1942. That's 214-762-1942. Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website at indiebeacon.com.